Hi everyone, I'm Nadia, and in today's video my mom is making a beautiful set of Peacock green resin coasters. As some of you might be able to tell, I am re-uploading this video just to add some more useful information for you guys, as suggested by my mom. And you know what moms say, they say, moms are always right. Jokes aside though, she is right. So after mixing the resin for about 3 minutes, she separates it into smaller cups to add the pigments. For this beautiful gold shade, she used a gold mica powder. Then she's using this dark blue pigment from Just Resin in the shade Blue Diamond. For these coasters, she's using a luster pigment paste, which is a paste with mica mixed into it. With mica powder, you won't be able to get the full effect of the striations since it tends to float to the top. Paste is heavier and forms more lines. So if you're trying to achieve this effect of striations in your resin coasters, it's best to use luster pigments and not mica powders. For the third color, she's using this beautiful peacock green pigment from Just Resin. When mixing pigments with resin, you want to be sure that you're mixing them together really well. You can also check the opacity by taking whatever you're using to stir with and lifting it against your cup like this. And the last color is this vibrant yellow, also from Just Resin. Then she starts pouring the gold pigmented resin along the outer edges of the molds. This is a simple technique you can use to achieve amazing effects. Basically what you're doing is circling and flooding. You pour the darker colors around the outer edges of the molds and the lighter colors right along those darker colors. Then you flood the center with clear resin, which will cause the darker colors to go outwards and then return inwards to the center. The result will be these beautiful striations similar to the iris of an eye. Then she pours the dark blue pigmented resin right along the gold. For this technique, it's best to use a low viscosity resin to get more movement and striations with the color. The longer you wait to pour, the less movement there will be. Typically, after mixing our part A and part B resin together, we wait about 10 minutes to let all of the air bubbles rise to the top. And at that point, we start working with our resin. The longer you wait, the thicker your resin will be. She goes in one more time with the dark blue pigmented resin to try and make each of the coasters even. Now she's pouring the peacock green right alongside the dark blue. Then the yellow pigmented resin goes right in the center. Now that she's added all of her pigments in a circular motion, it's time to do the flooding. She takes clear resin and pours it directly into the center of the molds. As you can see, this causes the pigments to shift outwards, and with time they will slowly start to return inwards, which causes the striations. She uses a torch gun to pop any air bubbles, and if you're using a torch gun, be sure to have it constantly moving and for it not to come too close to your silicone mold so you don't burn it. The flooding with the clear resin creates a transparent area in the center where she will be adding some colored rocks. She uses a wooden stick to adjust the placement of the rocks and to make sure that they are completely covered with resin. This is really important to check because you definitely don't want rocks to be sticking out of the center of your coasters. But if they do for some reason, you can always add a top coat and that will cover them. Then she takes some of her leftover gold pigmented resin and adds it in the center with the rocks to add a little gold detail. At this point, you can see that the gold which was added to the outer edge of the mold has now started to shift towards the center. And with the leftover resin, she was able to make one more coaster. This fifth coaster is a good demonstration of what I mentioned earlier about low viscosity resin being the best type of resin to use for this technique. At this point, the resin has been sitting out for a while now and has thickened, so the effects aren't exactly the same as it was on these 4 coasters. The pigment doesn't move as much and doesn't cause as many striations, but it still does achieve the effect. This is a sped up clip in which you can see how much the pigment moves over time. She uses a torch gun again to pop any air bubbles, and then with a small spoon carefully adds some gold sparkles into the center of the coasters with the rocks and the gold pigment. And here is the demolding of the coasters. She added a heat-resistant top coat and a gold trim with a gold acrylic marker, and here is the final product. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you like this video, subscribe to see more videos like this in the future.